Broncos Country, we are back. We are live. This is Mic'd Up. I'm your host, Mike Carmellini. Joining me tonight on the big stage, Zach Stevens, DNVR, and Brandon Krisztal. You know him as BK from Guerilla Sports. Gentlemen, this is it. Welcome. It's been coming. I've been waiting. It's great to see you both. How you guys feeling tonight?
BK?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited. I've done zero prep. I meant to go back and check out the trivia structure from some of your other shows and just, ran out of time. So I'm excited to kind of
already with the excuses.
do this blind.
I'm deducting 1 point.
I was cleaning up today.
Yes, let's deduct 2 points.
Deduct
there.
1 point.
I found a football trivia game that I've never opened. As you can see, they're still in the wrapper. So we can maybe all do that at the end if we have time. Total football trivia. So something that I discovered in my garage. I think my wife got me as a stocking stuffer a couple
Time
years
could have been spent better going over the Broncos trivia. Zach, how are you, buddy? Just coming off vacation. Were you
Well, Mike, I actually wasn't on vacation. I was just preparing for this show for the past 4 days. So I took the opposite approach of BK, and I'm ready to go, man. Let's go.
Yeah,
there's some truth to that because
yes.
So
there
Zach,
it is. That's
Zach
it.
tweeted this from vacation, and maybe guys didn't see it, but I did, and obviously he was doing some prep for the show.
Yep.
I was happy to see that, Zach. So good.
Yeah,
good on you.
I found out yesterday that March Madness had been going on all weekend, and that I should have been tuned into that. But BK, I'm sorry for Kansas.
This was not going to be our year. And I knew that early on. I picked us to lose to St. John's, but that was just because it's hard to pick the Jayhawks to lose in the first round. But I was not surprised. Arkansas came in and beat us in a preseason, actual practice game, if you will, like a scrimmage, and beat us by 20 when we were number 1 in the country. We then beat Duke and we're okay, but we were terrible this year by Kansas standards. So no pain. I'm happy to be out of my misery, as are all my fellow Jayhawks that hated this team. So.
Yeah.
I feel bad for CSU, though. Nico Medved, really good dude, really good coach, and so many CSU fans. And I give props to our guy, Scotty Gange, who said they hadn't made the Sweet 16 since a man has walked on the moon. March 1969 was the last time Randy made this. And they were staring right at it, but obviously two great plays and a great play by Maryland. Anyway, I'll keep an eye on it, but with my Jayhawks out of it, I'm not as excited, and I don't think I'm going to win my brackets either. So,
yeah, I was going to say brackets are probably shot too at this point, aren't they, guys?
Well, I have 3 of the 4 in the Final Four. Iowa State.
Hey, let's go.
Florida beating Duke, but a lot of people have Florida beating Duke or losing to Duke. I got Houston in there too, but I'd love to win money. It just doesn't seem like it's going to add up. Although, how much money do I get if I beat Zach tonight?
We'll get into that in the private chat. I'm not going to put that out there for everybody. I've got sponsors. Okay. Let's keep it. Let's go. All right, let's make you earn your money though. Let's start with this. What do we got here? March 25th. Is that correct? Free agency is kind of cooling off. We're taking a deep breath before the draft and everything else comes and hits us. We've got a new safety, a new middle linebacker, inside linebacker, and a weapon on offense. Zach, let's start with you. Why don't you give Broncos Country your State of the Union address as we sit here today? We should be happy, right?
Absolutely. The State of the Union for Broncos Country as good as it's been in nearly a decade. Just think about that. That is as good as it gets for Broncos Country. This is as good as it's been since Peyton Manning was on the team, because the Broncos, with these moves, the ones that you just pointed to, Mike, the moves that they're making, they're going all in. And Sean Payton truly believes this is a Super Bowl window for this team right now. And you can see it by the moves the Broncos are making. They don't make all 3 of those moves if they don't truly believe that they can compete for a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. Literally, that's their window right now with these new contracts is 2 years. That's when Bo Nix's rookie deal goes through. And so it's all about maximizing that rookie deal. So how can the State of the Union not be anything but just perfect when you're going for a Super Bowl and your head coach truly believes it and then is showing it with his actions?
Yeah, love that. Well done. Good start. You know what? Extra point. Extra point for the optimism.
Let's go. You hear that, BK?
Let's go.
Hey, I'm proud of you and your optimism. I don't want to come across as being rude. My wife is on a work trip in Southern California, so she was just texting me, making sure the kiddos got down okay and letting me know kind of
I'll
her
give you
plans.
1 point.
Odds are she'll
give you 1 point for being a dad.
Odds are she'll be asleep before we finish this, so I'll have to send her the episode so she can see me win in the morning. It'll brighten up her day.
For sure.
I'm kind of right there with Zach. And obviously, when you look at the way that team with Peyton Manning was constructed, and the 2 Super Bowl appearances, and how much better they got on defense, it's hard to say that they're right there right now. But as I'm sure we'll continue to hear Sean Payton say in the next couple of years, especially next year when we really see that cap space start to open up, it is going to, on paper, it's more than it's going to be because of Nick Bonito, likely whatever they end up giving Zach Allen and Cortland Sutton's new deal. So it's not going to be as much as it is on paper right now. But knowing that they're going to have basically a 3-year window with plenty of money in that rookie quarterback, you're in a different financial spot than you were. Peyton Manning didn't take up as much as he could have. We know that he even had to have in that final 4th season his salary reduced and then have the bonuses put in, which they were happy to pay when they won Super Bowl 50. But when you have the rookie quarterback, so you look at the teams that have them or the quarterbacks on the rookie deal, it allows you to fill in the holes that you don't have a young player or an established player already on your roster. And so that's what's really exciting, is that they were able to make some noise in Bo's rookie year. And I do give both Sean and George credit. They each said it separately, although they talked, I guess, consecutively back to back at the combine. But they said, we don't get to just pick up where we left off. That's not how the league works. Right. Obviously, you build up what you were able to accomplish in this first year with Bo and Sean's second full season here running the team. But they're certainly in a better spot than they were a year ago. And so it's exciting to see the progress they make with the players that we know they've just added, how they use Evan Ingram. And then it's fun to watch the mock drafts come out and see all the different directions people go. It's not, no one's throwing a guard in there, but there are people that are putting safeties in there. There's a world where I could see a corner potentially if they don't love the idea of a running back in the first round, or the couple that they like there with that grade aren't available at 20, or either the tight ends that they might like, and they go to a spot that they have some depth. It's a good position to be in when you've got your quarterback locked up and he's on his rookie deal.
Yeah, and your coach, right? I mean, it's been a long 10 years, guys. It's nice to not talk about coaches and ranking the possible coaches and the quarterback and GMs. Like, yeah, it's nice to be sitting pretty for once. I think,
Mike, that is part of the State of the Union, though, right? The union, and you talk about the union in a marriage. It's 2 people with an NFL team. It's those 4 things. It's the owner, it's the GM, it's the head coach, and it's the quarterback. And for the first time in over a decade, the Broncos finally have continuity at all 4 of those spots, which is just incredible. And I mean, it's incredible that the Broncos hired a new head coach with Gary Kubiak, and he won a Super Bowl his first year. That's extremely rare. You don't see that. And so the fact that the Broncos, they don't have to go with something new in their big 4 this year is just speaks to the state of the Broncos union right now, just being so good and just having a lot of continuity there for the first time in over a decade.
I like how Zach comes in with like a counterpoint to take the lead back from DK. Nobody's going out without a fight.
No, let's go. As Zach knows, I'm certainly fond of trying to get the last word in or last text to him when he's exchange texts. But the ownership piece, it's too early to know what Greg Penner is going to do over 10, 15 years when things aren't going well, or when he has to fire Sean Payton at whatever point that, if that comes to pass, just like
that's
when Mr. B had to fire Mike Shanahan. The point is that, and Sean may walk away after a decade with hopefully a couple of rings and sail off to Canton. But the point is, he did show us that when it wasn't going smoothly with Nathaniel Hackett, that he could pull the ripcord and that he could swallow and I say the ownership group, but it's just easier to talk about it because Greg, we know, really runs the day to day. But swallow the money to Russ, write a check to Russ for the remaining, almost $40 million, have the dead cap number be huge last year and still significant this year. But you look now, he's starting to be on some committees and he's really well respected. It's easy to see why he got to the position that he got to, in his professional life before he got here. And so having the owner in place certainly matters, but having the right owner, because we can look at the Bears ownership. They've been owned by the Hallis/McCaskey family literally forever. And we know that they've been a bit of a dumpster fire. Look at the Haslams in Cleveland. They've owned that team for going on 2 decades, and they're a disaster. And so we could look at a couple more ownership groups that are certainly solid. Dave Tepper's not going anywhere. David Tepper's not going anywhere in Carolina, but he's had a rough first few years versus the place where he was a minority owner. And the Rooneys in Pittsburgh, they are as steady as any ownership group out there. So
kind of the
Greg
gold
Penner
standard
appears
there.
to be the right kind of owner, and that's got to excite Broncos fans, not just for the stuff they're building, the stuff they're going to build, and then continuing to put resources into the football team across the board.
Yeah, love it. Love the takes. Love the aggressive competition. I'm not used to this. You know, it's usually a little more friendly, but I feel some tension between you two. Not gonna lie. All right, guys, let's move on. Good take, bad take. Do this every show. My take tonight is I think the Broncos had the best free agency in the AFC. Is that a good take or a bad take? BK, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is where it gets tricky because in order to score points, I have to acknowledge, yeah, they definitely had the best free agency of any team in the AFC. Because if I list another team, then I feel like that could be potential for deduction.
But it depends on what team you mention. If you mention the Raiders, you're losing points. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you look at
the Chiefs,
the needs they had, and this is where I'll give both, Sean and George credit. They definitely spent money, but they didn't go to the very top end of the market. It's like instead of buying the nicest sports car, they bought a really nice luxury vehicle that might have had an issue or two, but if the engine troubles are behind it, then it's going to be totally worth it. And so you look at Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga specifically, and if they end up healthy and playing their best football that we haven't seen from Hufanga in 2 years, and obviously Greenlaw with that devastating Achilles, we didn't see it at all last year, minus the one game he played. But then it's like, oh, they actually got him at a bit of a deal. Same with Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram, if he is the true Joker, has a chance to certainly be better than the 10th highest paid tight end, which is what he is right now on paper when you look at that list, and knowing that like Laporte is still on a rookie deal. And so getting those three guys at a bit of a bargain, not bargain basement, but a bit of a bargain is pretty huge. And it was three areas of need. And also knowing that the running back situation, the running back market wasn't great, and the receivers are older and or have big question marks, like say a Stephon Diggs, who I guess is kind of both, and we'll get into that later. But I think that they knocked it out of the park, and I gave them an A- as their grade only because of the potential for injury. But as we rated it at Guerilla Sports a few weeks back, I gave them an A-, or maybe I even gave them a solid A across the board for how they handled it.
Yeah. And Mike, I'm going to say it's a bad take, but hear me out here. I don't think you went far enough. I think that Broncos had the best free agency in the entire
league. Let's go.
Right there. So
Zach
that's the only reason I'd say it's a bad take right there. But I mean, BK listed so many reasons, but BK knocked him for the injuries, which is very fair. It's out there. All three of those guys have had some injuries in the past couple of years, a couple of them very serious. But here's the thing that really surprised me about what they were able to get with these guys. They got all three guys, at least the two 49ers, Hufanga and Greenlaw, on injury discount deals, which just typically doesn't happen in free agency. When you're talking about high-priced guys, you're talking about guys that are at the top of their class, if not the best at their position, one of the best at the positions, and they somehow got an injury discount. Like Hufanga, $13 million a year. The fact that it's not truly 3 years, $45 million, it's 3 years, $39 million with $20 million guaranteed, that's not as big of a risk as it initially seemed at signing. And then Greenlaw was the one that was just eye-opening in terms of how good of a deal they got with him. He's only guaranteed for one season. So if things come here and, man, he just doesn't look like the same Greenlaw he was before he got injured in the Super Bowl, it's just a one-year signing, and you can wipe your hands clean after that. Then the Broncos have the team option for 2 more years, essentially, with Greenlaw. And Greenlaw is a guy where I know he hasn't made a Pro Bowl, but he can be a Pro Bowl game-changing type of player, especially when he's freed up. I know Fred Warner being next to him helped him, but now maybe he could take that next step when he's not the number 2 inside linebacker, when he's right there with Alex Singleton. And so they addressed all of 3 of their 4 big needs in free agency, and it's clear what that other one is. And I know we're going to talk about it later, but running back, it wasn't worth it to pay Najee Harris top money. And then really that was it. I mean, J.K. Dobbins is out there. I think we're going to talk about him later too. He's a guy that I think the Broncos could still potentially sign. But for me, man, they did everything they needed to in free agency. And I think they're just sitting so pretty right now. That's why I truly believe that this was arguably, very arguably, the best free agency in the entire NFL.
Yeah. Well, I guess I want to add one more thing because
I'll allow it.
AFC,
Of course you do.
I think it's a bad take because I think it has a chance to be not only the best free agency in NFL history, but maybe in the history of sports as we know it. If Greenlaw is healthy,
this is the last time
healthy,
I'm awarding points for this bullshit. Okay.
And they end up, if they end up in the Hall of Fame,
well done.
If Evan Ingram's in the Hall of Fame too, if you end up with 3 Hall of Famers in this free agency, and then, oh, by the way, maybe Von Miller sneaks in the side door and you get a 4th Hall of Famer, then it's a true.
He has done his
homework. And if
homework.
Matt Hack makes the Hall of Fame as well, obviously underreported. You talk about this time of year with most of it being behind. Josh Reynolds was signed last year, March 28th. So there are still
right.
That's where J.K. Dobbins probably falls in, but they obviously took their couple of bigger swings, and when they all hit, it could go down as the best free agency class in the history of sports.
Well done. I mean, I gave you points, a lot of points, and I've lost control of the show already, and I kind of knew this was going to happen. It's crazy how George and the front office got all that done, and DJ Jones back in for $24 million. And then DJ Jones was the highest cap hit, I think, at $6 million. And the other guys all fit underneath there. Great job. And D-Mac was on last week, and he's like, here's free agency. It's 2 a.m. at Fuddruckers. And
what Fuddruckers are open at 2 a.m., I guess.
I don't know. But if anybody knows, it's D-Mac. And he's like, you just, are you chewing your arm off in the morning or not? And, succinctly put. So that's free agency. I think we did. There's going to be some dirt, but I thought we did really well. So, yeah, well done all around. Let's, guys, Zach, I'll start with you. You have to take one of these. Are you taking Hampton or Loveland if they're there at 20?
Right now, man, you put me in a tough spot right here. Give me Loveland. And the reason for that is obviously there's a massive hole at running back, but there's another running back that I like in this draft even more. And it's not Ashton Genty because I know he's going to be gone. So taking Ashton Genty off the board, I think for Sean Payton's offense, I want Travion Henderson so bad. And so if you're making me choose between one of these guys at 20, I'm taking Loveland. And then talk about you go from the worst tight end room in the NFL to potentially the best tight end room in the NFL in one offseason. And then you're not only getting Loveland to be a piece for this team these next 2 years with Evan Ingram's there, and Sean Payton's going to find a way to get both of these guys on the field as much as he wants. But you're also getting your tight end of the future, which also has been such a difficult position for the Broncos to find. And then what you're doing is you're going to have to trade up because Travion Henderson's not going to be there at 51. So you're trading up earlier in the second round. Maybe you're trading a 4th in your second at 51 to move up, and you're getting Travion Henderson right there. And then you're talking about adding Evan Ingram, Colston Loveland, and Travion Henderson to this team. And then you could also add another running back, whether it's in free agency or later in the draft. And oh my goodness, you are cooking with gas right there. And just think about how different this would be. Bo Nix had one of the best rookie seasons for a quarterback in NFL history with not that much to work with. And then you add 3 big time weapons that Sean Payton's going to be able to utilize. Oh my goodness. That's just incredible right there.
I love it. Well done. Sorry, I put this comment up, but Paul says I met my wife at Fuddruckers at 1:55. So, I mean, it can work out. Well done.
Before the 2 a.m. deadline.
Before the 2 a.m. lockoff. BK, what do you say? Who's your choice here if you had to make it?
I on paper, really like Omarion Hampton. I just have a hard time with it not being Ashton Genty at 20. And I'm saying Ashton Genty specifically with the idea that Sean Payton, who we know loves to find value and get a player that they have a higher grade on in a later round. Now that's a little relative because if he says we have an Audric Estime with a 3rd round grade and we got him in the 5th and we had a 2nd round grade on Troy Franklin and got him in the 4th, that's great. But if the Chiefs board looks different and the Eagles board looks different, it doesn't really matter. Although there's obviously some consensus typically with a lot of that stuff. But I remember when the Cowboys drafted Travis Frederick in the 1st round and everyone was saying, oh, they've got a 4th round grade on this guy out of Wisconsin. And he went to 6 or 7 Pro Bowls. And that was the one where the Cowboys certainly got that one right. Even though everyone was, quick to bash Jerry and some of the picks that they've made. But Omarion Hampton is a special kind of player. I like Travion Henderson a lot too. because when I watched Ohio State play, and we got to see him plenty, obviously, as national champs, as much as people like Quinshon Judkins, who was just in for a 30 visit,
right?
There's certainly a scenario where the Broncos might be doing that for a little misdirection so that people think that's the Ohio State back they like. And so I'm kind of in line with Zach. And with Loveland, you know what you're getting there in terms of his talent. And so if he's there at 20, because there's plenty of mock drafts that have Tyler Warren going in the top 10 and Loveland not too far behind him, but certainly higher than 20. And if you're not going to trade up, I just don't see a world other than when they took Reggie Bush and we understood how special Reggie Bush was. And that was, I want to say, Sean's first draft too in New Orleans. We just haven't seen him take, he'd much rather find Alvin Kamara in the 3rd round and tell you about it for a decade than
how good he is.
And that he was a 3rd rounder, that we found him in the 3rd round. We went to see this other Tennessee player and Kamara just knocked our socks off. And then we thought we were going to get him. Then we thought he was gone and all that. Right. Zach and I have certainly heard the stories more than once. If you go to his press conferences, and even George Payton's probably heard him a few too many times, but I just don't see a scenario because Genty won't be there at 20 unless and it feels like Genty is kind of that unique or is slightly a cut above that they were able to trade up. He gets past the Raiders, gets past some of those teams, and all of a sudden he's there in the teens, gets past the Cowboys at 12, and he's there 13 to 16. Maybe they were to trade up and get him. I just don't see them at 20 going running back necessarily, even though Amari Hampton looks like he could be really awesome and a good fit for this as well. But I kind of like where Zach's thinking is that if you can get Loveland, if he's there, then this is such a running back rich draft. And there's some really good tight ends too. Gunnar Helm, a local kid, drove himself over the other day, so that didn't even count against the 30 visit. Do they get him in the 4th round potentially? I think that's realistic as well. And maybe they ended up with both of them because you certainly need more than one tight end. And even with Evan Ingram, Sean wants as many toys as possible. It feels like there's going to be a lot of offense in this draft, at least in the first 4 rounds for the Broncos.
Yep. Well done. I agree with both of you. I think Loveland would be the play there. But yeah, I love the deep draft. And the running backs can give us a lot in trivia.
I mean, Devin Neal's my favorite draft, but I mean, my favorite back in the draft, but I'm a little
Neal?
biased. I mean, you probably have to take him in the 4th.
I mean,
round.
why? What?
Well, he's Jayhawks all-time leading rusher.
I just wanted to give you a chance to say it.
Yeah, he broke June Henley's record, which was John Riggins' record. He's had better career than Gale Sayers, so there's a chance.
Oh, you got to get Gale Sayers. Okay, you got that point back that you lost earlier. Now no more excuses.
And there's a nice little pipeline of Kansas to the Broncos. I'll give you that. Aqib Talib, Chris Harris Jr., although you're talking about the opposite side of the ball, but still it's pretty good there.
Yeah, can't complain. Zach, real Bronco, Dave Lucas or Tony Lilly?
Wow, we're going to go Tony Lilly, of course.
Tony Lilly, that's right. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's see. You probably weren't even born yet, but
yep. No, I was not born yet. I was still from the last game he played, still 5 years out.
He was so bad in that Super Bowl. Was it Washington? It was the last game he ever played. BK, real Bronco, Mike Harden or Sam Wright?
Mike Harden.
Yeah, these are cupcakes, guys. You guys probably lost sleep for no reason. I totally took it so easy on you guys.
I told you, my wife went to Arizona and I stayed back just studying. So at least so far it's paid off.
And look, if I was going against Andrew Mason, who I think would win the trivia portion of this, I would have studied. But I was just going based on kind of institutional knowledge, Zach's age, and then just hoping that sometimes I can do well in a trivia scenario. That I'll fare okay, even without much. Because I thought about I do have some Broncos books around here, looking through the record book, but I figure I'll just wing it. And if Zach beats me fair and square, then I will tip my proverbial cap to him.
Yeah, I mean, didn't you? I don't think there was
my
square in there though.
Broncos helmet of all Hall of Famers, minus a couple, but.
Didn't you try to throw in some? Didn't you try to skew what the trivia would be, BK?
No, I was surprised that we were told.
He tried to move it. He tried to move the odds.
You tried to go older to.
No. I didn't. I was surprised that you were giving us an era, Mike. I thought it was going to be general Broncos trivia from 1960 to now, and
calling me out on my own show. That's another deduct.
No, I just wanted to know.
Maybe another point away.
Like Zach's influencing the scoring.
I mean, that's literally your job.
No. He's telling you
scoring.
No, he's
do whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
Give me.
Well, then I think you should give me 5 more points, Mike. That's just my.
I'm considering it. Okay, guys. Shiny new inside linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, with his Achilles and all. Right, but I'm psyched about this signing, by the way. But what I don't know, and what none of us can know, is who's going to be starting next to him.
I know the answer. I think Zach does too.
I think. Well,
I don't know if we both get the same point, but if you want us to count to 3 and both say it.
No, there's not a right or wrong.
The answer,
Tell me who it's going to be. BK, go ahead.
No,
in fact, if you could just drive the show for me, that'd be great. Because I'm gonna have a drink and
yeah, go for it. It's going to be Alex Singleton. They definitely like the idea of having Alex, who we know can find the ball, but certainly can call the defense. Cody Barton, I think, exceeded expectations, and Zach knows better than most that there were rumblings that had Cody Barton not had the game of his life against the Saints JV team, that maybe there was a scenario where one of those vets like Quan Alexander got some of that playing time. Zach, you may have even, I don't know if you actually reported it or we just talked about it, but that was something Zach had. And so that we talked about at that game in New Orleans and kind of got me digging around. But then Cody Barton went nuts and had all those, what should have been interceptions, but had the pick 6 and all that. But Cody gets, a good payday. They were happy to have Alex back. And I know 2 years ago when Alex got that new deal, that was a priority for the new coaching staff because they liked the way he had played. He had finally kind of grown into a role in a situation that was perfect for him, opposite of Josie Jewell. And so I don't know if a new deal's coming for him on the backside of this, if Drew Sanders gets to where they want him to, and if Dre Greenlaw looks healthy. But I wouldn't rule it out, especially at that low of a number. Or in that world, he's not going to get 15 million like Nick Bolton, but maybe another 3-year, $20 million, $22 million deal is in his future if he plays really well. But it's going to be Greenlaw and Singleton with Sternad brought back on a 1-year deal to be a depth play and certainly a special teams ace.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, BK. And I love that you asked the question too, Mike, because this has been kind of floating around Broncos country. And I don't understand it because the Broncos absolutely love Alex Singleton. And they love Alex Singleton as a player, as a person, as a leader. But they love Alex Singleton next to Dre Greenlaw. They think he's going to complement him so well. And Dre Greenlaw is really going to be able to open up his game being next to Singleton, and Singleton is going to complement him so well. These two guys are going to have 300 combined tackles, 125 for Dre Greenlaw and 175 for Alex Singleton. I know he's coming off a torn ACL. He played on a torn ACL for almost an entire game down in Tampa. I know BK was there. That was the only road game I wasn't at. Talked to him after and said he just had no idea that Alex Singleton was going through that after the game. And so he's fully recovered. I mean, he's ready to go. Alex Singleton is a psycho in the best way possible. When it was like 4 degrees outside a couple of weeks ago, he was doing cold plunges outside at night at 4 degrees to get himself ready to go. So, I mean, there's no question that he is going to be ready to go for the season. He's already running full speed. He's doing everything. So, the Broncos, BK talked about the contract. The Broncos, the way the contract is structured with Alex Singleton, they could cut him and save $5 or $6 million against the cap this year. They like him so much that they're not even going to ask him to change his deal from what I believe. So that is, it's just a non-starter right there. Justin Strnad, fantastic depth. That's an that's an underrated signing as well, bringing him back. And he got a nice pay raise as well. Double from what he got last year. Really good depth. If he is asked to step in at any point this season, and hey, you got to have that backup plan with two guys that are coming off an injury, essentially. If he has to step in, I love Justin Strnad as depth right there. But no, it's Alex Singleton's job, and it's going to be Greenlaw and Singleton this year.
Yeah, well done. I know that Strnad said that he was given some assurances that he would compete for a starting job, and I'm with you guys. I've said Singleton all along. Broncos country, for some reason, isn't as hot on Singleton, but
they're wrong.
They're wrong. I agree. They're wrong.
He told, because Zach and I talked to him separately at the Super Bowl, but a few minutes apart. He was in town, obviously, for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award presentation as part of NFL Honors, and flew in with his mom, Kim, who does a great job on social media of letting us know what's going on in Alex's world.
Yeah,
but his wife was expecting any day, and then they welcomed their first kiddo into the world just a day or two after. But Zach was talking about his recovery and how he could have played in the Super Bowl had they have made it to the Super Bowl, and how he was kind of bummed that Bo Lowry let his wife know how far along he was because he was kind of trying to hold back a little so he didn't have to maybe do as many late night diaper changes and all that comes along with being a new parent. But I think that I give Bo credit in that regard, knowing Zach would still Alex would still get in his work, but that maybe he should help out around the house because this time of year is when players go back to being closer to equal partners than we know they certainly are during the regular season.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Well done. Tie ball game. Let's do something that might separate things a little bit, shall we? Ooh. All right, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah,
let's go. Thank you. Thank you. Made that myself with a free app. I don't know where I found that. Taboo, gentlemen. Zach won the toss. That's correct. Zach won the toss. All right, so here's the deal. I have all these cards in my hand. These were written by my wife and my middle son. They are Broncos names. Could be of any era. Not necessarily where Peyton Manning is patting you on the head there, BK, but or before you were born, Zach. Just be ready for anything. You got 1 minute to do name as many as you can, but we're a team now. You and me, Zach.
Love this.
I'm going to give you the best hints. It's up to you to come up with the name. We're going fast. This is fast. This is where you shine. I've been watching you for years. You're a fast person.
This is just like the game Taboo.
That's literally why I call it Taboo.
Yeah. My problem with the game is, should you play it? I don't know.
I've never heard of the game Taboo.
My problem with guest hosts saying they have a problem with the game is they get
that. I didn't say that. Zach said it.
So there we go.
my problem is.
Did Zach say that too? Did you say you didn't like the game?
Zach said he's never heard of the game.
I've never heard of the game.
Okay.
I was trying to make heard of it on the word Taboo.
So wait, I need a little explanation. It's any player or it's just quarterbacks?
Any player. I'm going to get you to say a player's name, and I can't tell you his name or his number. Okay. Other than that, I can say whatever I want.
Okay,
I love it. I'm terrible at
in
these
there.
games.
The QB in there is misleading if it's going to be a different position. That's what Zach was
Another
trying to
point
get
knocked off. Another point knocked off.
I'm trying to help you understand the damn rules.
All right, here we go. 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready, Zach?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. We just signed this tight end.
Evan Ingram.
He's our joker. Oh, quarterback known for the butt fumble. He was the Jets quarterback.
Mark Sanchez.
Let's go. Oh, another quarterback. He was a bust. 2017.
Paxton Lynch.
This running back was benched for the Buffalo game last season.
Audric Estime.
Okay, this quarterback started in 2016.
Trevor Siemian.
Our outside linebacker, sack leader last year. Pick 6. You say Benito?
Benito, yep.
Let's go.
Say anything?
Hall of Fame safety, smiling assassin.
Oh, Steve Atwater, the legend.
Second round quarterback, Vic hated him, sent him to Seattle.
Drew Lock.
2 gloves, and Vic loved this quarterback.
Oh, Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy 2 gloves, baby.
His father played for the 72 Dolphins quarterback. He was our quarterback, drafted to replace Elway.
Oh my gosh. Brian Greasy.
Let's go. There's the timer. Well,
boom.
I got 9 for you, Zach.
I'm feeling pretty good about that. So BK says 9.
The course record,
11.
as they say, is 10. 1,
okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 10.
Oh,
I got 10 here.
I knew it. BK trying to shave a punch.
I was not.
Wow.
I started counting late. So
is that what it was?
I'm gonna start counting BK's 30 seconds in.
Okay, perfect.
Well done, Zach. Well done. Good job.
Oh,
proud of
you. Let's give it a sec. Let's see if there's any comments here. That Taboo is amazing. Love that. Favoritism. Okay. Give Zach 10 points if he agrees to buy a pair of jeans.
Yeah, that's true. I hate jeans. Jeans are the worst.
Oh, really? The
last person I knew that said that was 79 years old. It's true. Fred Ayers. True story.
I feel like those are the only people that wear jeans nowadays.
He said, "I've never worn a pair of jeans in my life." And I think you threw an F-bomb in there. Are you ready, BK?
Yeah, I'm going to set my own timer so I kind of have an idea where we're going. Ready
to
set
your own timer?
Well, that way I know how much time I have left, so I can pick it up if I can't remember Brian Greasy's name. Is it gonna be the same players? Teddy Bridgewater.
The same ones that he just had? Yes, they're the same.
I like
ones.
my chances to shatter it then.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Wide receiver passed away. He was Peyton's favorite target.
Marius Thomas.
Oh, the quarterback that threw that pass to
Tim Tebow.
The 2013 MVP, Super Bowl 50 quarterback. Patted you on the head. Our second best defensive player on the line needs a new contract. High motor guy.
Zach Allen.
The defensive player of the year last year at cornerback.
That's Sertan Jr.
Oh, probably the greatest wide receiver in Broncos history. We stole this free agent from Dallas for Super Bowl 50 champ alongside Von
Marcus Ware.
Traded Clinton Portis to
Bailey.
Washington for this guy. His number is retired along with Peyton Manning's.
Floyd Little, Frank Tripuccio.
The Snake. Jake
Plummer.
Greatest tight end in Broncos history, Hall of Fame tight end.
Sharp.
Undrafted running back, Super Bowl 50.
CJ Anderson.
Oh gosh, we just signed the safety from the 49ers.
Talanoa Hufanga.
All right. There is that might be a record. I don't know. I feel like something just happened here.
It was.
Did you count it, Zach?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's a new show record.
Impressive.
12 points. Never been done before.
This is one of my favorite pieces of anything I own. This is DT and my oldest, who's now 18, at Demarius's football camp.
I love that.
That's too cool.
But man, you talk about one of the best people you'll ever meet. Always had a smile on his face, and certainly gone way, way, way too soon.
Yeah.
And what's funny was Demarius would almost never call or text you back if you needed something. But if I FaceTimed him, and often it was Aiden, my oldest, wanting to FaceTime him, he'd answer every time and then talk to Aiden for a minute or two, which was always, I say always, it's a couple of times, but it was always appreciated.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a great story too. And it's nice to know that Zach and DT have something in common, that they don't, text back or anything.
I know, Zach, of all the people I consider my friends, that isn't a former professional athlete or current, but certainly former, Zach is probably one of the worst at getting back to me. He says,
hey, I'll get back to you. It'll just take some time.
Yeah, I should
actually. You do always get back. You always do.
It's the lack of, because I'll react to something in real time or shortly after, and then a day later he'd be like, "Oh, great point," or whatever.
Maybe it's just us. Maybe he reacts to other people like this,
in fact,
and it's just you and me, BK.
It goes way too deep. I got home from work at some point last week, and there was a note on my counter from my wife just telling me that she had run out. And I got home, and she said, "Yeah, I wrote you that note because I knew that you weren't going to check your phone and you weren't going to see my message. So I had to let you know where I was with the note. So I need to be better with that."
Yeah, marriage made in heaven sounds like. All right, guys, the Broncos need a vet running back. Zach, let's start with you. I believe the Broncos still need to sign a vet running back. I know there's nothing but on the scrap heap, but I would just feel better if we had somebody that could pass pro, so that we go into the draft really, I don't know, not freaking out. Like maybe it's just me, but what are your thoughts on that? Do we still need to sign a vet running back if possible?
I totally understand why you feel that way. Yeah. And I mean, the Broncos don't need to, though. And I think that's the key word here is need, because you are able to get a running back in the draft. And it doesn't even have to be in the first round. You can get a guy, let's say, in the third round. BK, have you heard that Sean Payton got Alvin Kamara in the third round of the draft? And guess what he did his rookie season? He had 1,500 yards from scrimmage, that's receiving and rushing combined, and 13 touchdowns. You can do that in the draft. And here's the thing with the Broncos, too, is they are going to use at least one of their first 2, maybe 3 picks on a running back, if not 2 of those first 3 picks on a running back or 2. So they don't need a vet running back, and you can take that guy from college and make him be a very successful running back right away. But there is one guy that I would want the Broncos to sign. And Mike, it's exactly who you said. It's J.K. Dobbins. And the reason for J.K. Dobbins is not only is he a vet, but he is a guy with extremely high upside. And at this point in free agency, BK mentioned it earlier, you're signing Josh Reynolds of the world, who are getting $4 million, who might not even make it on your team the end of the season. J.K. Dobbins, though, has a ceiling that is honestly one of the better running backs in the NFL. Last season, when he was healthy, he was one of the top leading rushers the first half of the season. He is what allowed Jim Harbaugh to not have Justin Herbert throw interceptions left and right. Well, then J.K. Dobbins was hurt, and then we saw what happened. Justin Herbert goes out, throws 4 picks.
Those interceptions anyway.
900 yards is what J.K. Dobbins had, despite missing so many games. So J.K. Dobbins at this point is not going to be expensive. Maybe that's why he's still out there. Is he wants top dollar? Well, sorry, J.K., you're not going to get top dollar. If the Broncos are able to get J.K. Dobbins going into the draft, they'll still need a running back early in the draft. But man, you might be looking at your number 2 running back being the best number 2 running back in the NFL when healthy. And that's a big thing with him, is when healthy. But hey, at this point, you might as well take a flyer on a guy who's really good when he's healthy.
Yeah. But friend of the show says the JK stands for Jello knees. And, I mean, he's kind of not wrong, but I like him too. BK, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly why he doesn't have a job, though. And Zach just touched on it, is his asking price is way too high. So do they need one? I don't know, because last year, I guess Javonte qualifies, but it wasn't like they still had Samaje Perine, who's obviously a true veteran running back. So they didn't have that veteran running back. But when you have a quarterback that gets rid of the ball as quickly as Bo Nix does and is as decisive and doesn't take sacks, you can trust that if he's got nothing but young backs next to him or behind him, that he's going to end up being okay most of the time. And I imagine whomever they end up selecting as a running back in the draft, and I do agree with Zach, that's probably going to be in one of those first 3 picks, that they'll have pass pro rated highly on their skill set chart. And so, and I think Audric Estime is a player that will be better in that area than we really got a chance to see. And I know they're not going to give up on him yet, but you understand they want to upgrade there. So I don't think it's something they need. I think if you get J.K. Dobbins through bottom of the market, vet minimum, the upside is there. I've just been burned by him too many times in fantasy football, or a couple of years ago.
That explains it.
That's with that he's in LA. So I make the bets legally. We bet on him to win comeback player of the year. And then he gets hurt again in Baltimore. And so it's like, as talented as he was coming out of Ohio State and the flashes we saw in Baltimore, we couldn't even see that consistently last year in LA, where we thought, oh, this is going to be great with Greg Roman and obviously Jim Harbaugh. He could have a huge impact, and he just never did consistently. So I don't know if they need that running back. I don't know if they need J.K. Dobbins, but if they ended up signing him at some point, plenty of upside, it's certainly not a priority. But then there's also some other names at other spots, vets like that, Calais Campbell, who's a Denver native. I could see a world where if he just wants to come in for the vet minimum or, close to it, they bring him in as a depth guy, even though he's in year 14, 15, whatever it may be. And so I think that you're not going to pay J.K. Dobbins anywhere near what we think he's asking right now, or what he's asking for, or where he envisions himself. He's probably going to have to sign a 1-year prove it deal. And if he chooses to do that here, then it's worth it. But I don't think they need that running back.
Yeah. All right. Well done. Good job. Tie ball game, gentlemen. That's the way I like it. Did you guys prep for this question?
Oh, of course I did. Yep.
I know you did. This is right up your alley.
Is it going to be over or under in 25? I'm going over right now. Calling my shot.
You talk about gambling, BK. If we could take the over on even odds with this one, all my money would be on that. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you say to that? Yards, touchdowns? Give me a number. Last year was 365 and 1. Did I read that right? Is that a real stat?
Let's triple the yards, Mike, and let's multiply the touchdowns by 10. I think Evan Ingram is going to eat in this offense. I'm thinking he's going to have his first 1,000-yard receiving season. That's what's crazy to me is Evan Ingram. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. Everyone knows how good he is in the receiving game. but he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season yet in his career. And maybe it's because he's been with the Jaguars and the Giants. And so that speaks to a lot of it. But now he's with Sean Payton. Now he's with Bo Nix, and he is going to feast in this offense. In fact, Mike and BK, I wouldn't be surprised if he leads this team in catches, in receiving yards, and in touchdowns. I think he'll lead the team in 2 of those 3. I don't think he'll have the full Triple Crown, but I think he's going to lead the team in 2 of those 3 right there. He is so good in the red zone. That's why it's criminal. I think the most he's ever had in a season in terms of touchdowns is 4. That is crazy. When you watch him, he is so good at the point of attack. He's so good all over the field, the middle of the field, the outside of the field. So I'm going 1,000 yards. I think he's going to clear that one pretty darn easily with the Broncos. Yeah. And I think 10 touchdowns is in reach for a guy that is such a good receiving weapon. And then Sean Payton's just going to make him a matchup nightmare all across the field.
Yeah, I love it. Love the hot take. Thank you for that, Zachary. BK.
If we're getting points for accuracy, it's worth noting that Evan Ingram did have 6 touchdowns his rookie year in 2017 with the Giants.
Highs 4.
2 years ago,
though, a point for that.
2 years ago when he had his obviously his best overall season with the Jags when they went to the playoffs, beat the Chargers. If my math is right on that. 114 catches. I think he's under that. I don't think he has another 114 catch season, but I am with Zach. I think he does have 1,000 yards, and I'm going to go just under. I think it's 8 or 9 touchdowns. I don't want to go north of 10 or more. So either way, you're going to feel good if it's in that ballpark. I just think Courtland Sutton's probably going to lead the team in receptions again, and having Evan Ingram will open things up for Court even more potentially. And with the young guys coming along in their development and figuring out how to use Marvin Mims better, but Troy Franklin and I say Devon Bailey, a young guy. I mean, he's probably older than all those guys, but he's in his second year in the pros. So I think that he certainly, crushes the numbers that he had last year. We know injury played into that as well. But I think that he's going to have a big year, and he's going to feel like a steal, like I mentioned, as the 10th highest paid tight end right now.
Yep. Yeah, you guys are killing it. I can't even separate you two anymore. Maybe it really will come down to the coin toss. Okay, you brought it up. Are we holding Court next year? Diggs just got 3 years, $69 million. Courtland Sutton's got to be sitting there. He's playing on the last year of his deal, right? I'm assuming. The Broncos want him back. He wants to be here. Are they going to work all this out? Zach, what do you say to that?
Yeah, they're going to. They're gonna extend Courtland Sutton. I don't think they're in any rush to do it, like in terms of the next couple of weeks. But Diggs, Court sees that deal and absolutely loves it. Diggs is coming off a season-ending injury. We know that he has some issues in locker rooms with teams and has to get traded from teams. And Court's the complete opposite. And one of the things that Court has going for him that is so valuable is Bo Nix loves him. He's clearly Bo Nix's favorite target. Maybe that changes at some point this season in terms of Evan Ingram or some
it's
other
gonna
guys.
Have to get your other take right.
It might have to. But I can tell you this time last year, I do not believe the Broncos thought Courtland Sutton was in their long-term plans. But after seeing what he was able to do with Bo Nix and the comfort level that he gave him, now he's in their long-term plans. And the Broncos are going to give him an extension. Barring them getting Teteroa McMillan in the first round, I don't think that's the route the Broncos are going to go. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver, especially one that's just like Courtland Sutton. If they go that route, it makes it a little more interesting. That's why they might wait on a Courtland Sutton extension until after the draft just to see where things are there. But I do think that Courtland Sutton's going to be a Bronco for the long term and get an extension. The interesting thing was Stephon Diggs' deal, though, I think only 25 million guaranteed.
I believe so.
It's really a 1-year deal. It's still a ton of money for him, but Courtland's going to be looking for more guaranteed money than Diggs got. That's for sure.
BK.
Yeah, I think that Court is going to be operating under the understanding, the expectation that in good faith a deal will get done, regardless of what they do in the draft. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver at 20 unless they have 20 guys with a first round grade, and whichever wide receiver that is, Golden or the kid from Missouri or maybe Abuka or McMillan, that's the last first rounder they have at 20. All the other first round, they have 18 guys with a first round grade because we know very rarely do teams have 32 guys with a first round grade. And the Broncos likely are one of those teams that, probably has 20-ish max. So that would be the only reason they'd go wide out. But I do think that the Diggs deal is maybe one to look at framework wise. They're not exactly the same player. Obviously, they're built differently. And we know that Court, like Zach mentioned, is one of the best locker room guys, unlike Diggs, who we know can be a bit of a malcontent. And so I think that 3 years, it might look closer to 75. So it's a little more than Diggs, but the guarantee is what'll matter more. And it's probably more in the $40 to $45 million range. So that's what it ends up looking like, is a 2-year deal for, I think, 22 to 24 million each year in the guarantee. So it's a 3-year deal that looks like 3, but it's definitely 2. It's not just 1. It's, hey, we want you this year and we want you next year, and we're going to take care of you on this. As we talked about a little earlier, they are going to have a lot more cap room, so they can manipulate the cap as needed with the extension, the bonus, the whole thing. But I think that Court is going to be there for the first day of OTAs, and he's been in town this entire offseason. I've seen him at a couple Nuggets games. He's got his Sutton Sours candies out there in the marketplace. They're now available, I believe, at King Soopers as well. So he wants to be here. I can't say he wants to finish his career. I'm not saying he doesn't want to. I can't predict that because you just don't know how long he wants to play and what their plans are. But it does feel like they're going to make sure to get a deal done, even if it isn't before OTA start, which we know is a week and a half before the draft, give or take.
Yeah. All right. Well done. Let's switch gears, guys. You guys are on fire. You guys are making this so easy for me. I just
going back to more trivia.
Yes, BK, if it's okay with you, I am going to go to some more trivia. Let's go. Let's hide the current banner. I need a producer. I need Yaya. I need a Yaya.
Yeah, you're crushing it right now.
Oh my God. I don't even know what button I'm supposed to be pushing right now. We're faking it. We're going, let's do some trivia again. Zach, you won the toss. That means you get the first question so that, these go right down the line. I can't, I can't predict who's going to win and who's not, but there are some cupcakes in here.
Good,
and there are some.
Make sure all those come my way.
All I can do is flip the coin and you get what you get. But some of these are good. Some of these are, we have a tie score. It's a Von Miller, double Von Miller score.
Is there a chance to steal? How's this round set up?
Had you done your homework, BK, you would know. But
Zach, tell me how this round is set up.
I'm going to tell you.
No, I can't. You got to do your homework, BK.
Zach's protecting his lead, the tie. Okay, so here's the deal. Now I'm going to ask. So Zach will get the first question. If he can't get it, I will offer up a steal. The only way you lose points in this round is if you try to steal and you get it wrong. So if you're going to steal, you better be right. Here we go. Let's get this going. Zachary. What player was known as the albino rhino?
It was Carl Mecklenburg.
Let's go. Well done. I knew that we were stretching you a little bit.
It took me half a second.
22 years
I had
old.
to get that one. That one would have been bad.
That would have been embarrassing. Yeah. There's not a lot of them that would be embarrassing.
He's one of the few people in town excited Nico Medved's going to Minnesota as a proud Gopher.
Wow. That's a deep pull there, BK.
That is. That's almost a point. But in trivia, we don't give extra points during trivia. This is tougher. This one is tougher. But BK, you're an expert. So here we go. In what round was Shannon Sharp drafted in?
7th.
Let's go. Oh, you did not disappoint.
Oh, you could tell that was such a guess too. Lucky BK.
Well, I didn't feel
Zach, that was not like there were a lot of rounds to pick from there. And
that's true.
He got it. You got to give him his props, as much as we hate to do it, because he's so cocky.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know if that's true.
Where does Peyton Manning rank all-time passing yards, Zach? So
in the entire NFL.
In the entire history of NFL, where does he rank?
He ranks 3rd.
Behind your favorite quarterback of all time.
Let's go.
And Brees. Well done. Keeping pace. No misses so far. I love it. Love it. I knew this is gonna be a good one. BK, here you go. Up to you. What year was Tim Tebow drafted?
2010.
Yep.
It was 2010.
Yeah.
Takes a deep breath and holds. God, hold serve.
That's
We
good.
haven't had one miss yet. This is good.
You're setting me up for failure right now, Mike.
Well, I just read them as in order as they go. Here we go. This one's you. Think about this. You're going to get this. What was the 2015 regular season record?
Oh gosh, it was 12-4.
You're a good
12-4.
man. That's nails that. Let's
And of course, everyone knows that going into that last game, it was what they could have the 1 seed or they could drop all the way down to 5 or something like that. That's just that's absolutely crazy to have going in. And then you switch quarterbacks midway through the game too.
No extra points, Zach, but well played. BK, think about this 2016 regular season record. We had Kubiak and Trevor Siemian at the helm.
That was the last time they were above 500 until this past year. They were 9-7.
They were 9-7. Well done. You guys are kicking ass on trivia. Call it lost sleep for nothing. All right, now we're going back in time a little bit.
Oh no!
Way before you were born. You're 23, right? 23.
Oh no!
22?
Yeah, right about there.
Right about there. The Broncos had John Elway on the roster, and they still drafted a first-round quarterback. What QB did they draft? What was his name?
Yeah,
BK's going to steal it if you don't get it.
Yeah,
so
I'm not going to get this one. Yeah, not going to get it.
I want to say they went to Hearst LD Bell High School in Dallas, outside of Dallas, UCLA. Tommy Maddox.
Yes, of course.
It was Tommy Maddox, and well done. And being from Dallas, I guess BK would know that one.
Let me double check.
But you would have known it either way.
I mean, I was in
don't fact check.
Yeah, that showmanship right there. Wow.
No, don't do that.
Born in Shreveport.
All right, so it's like scoring
LD Bell in Hearst, Texas. Yeah.
Well done. I guess. BK, this is also for you since you stole. What quarterback did the Broncos draft in 1983?
Well, we just talked about him going 9-7 after winning Super Bowl 50. And famously, he called his dad after the Broncos traded for John Elway. And Gary Kubiak said, "Dad, I'm not going to be the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos." After John's first practice, and he's ripping it through the air. So, yeah,
that's crazy, isn't it? Gary Kubiak in the 8th round. Zach, would you have gotten that, Zach?
Yeah, it was a little trick question thrown in there, but yeah, it came in at the same year.
Is it really a trick? They didn't draft Elway.
No, it's very true. It's very true.
All right, here we go. Way back in time. Zach, this is for you. I apologize in advance. What year did the Broncos play the Cowboys in the Super Bowl?
BK probably knows this. I'm going to go 1978.
I think that's technically
let's
go,
Zach
baby.
Stevens. I'm telling you, if you think your way through it,
10 weeks,
10 weeks before I was born. What else would it be?
Yeah, 10 weeks before I was born, former Cowboy Craig Morton leads them to the slaughter with 8 turnovers. If you talk to those guys like Randy Gradishar and Tom Jackson, they'll tell you if we only turned over 6 times, we might have won it.
That's right. That's a great quote. All right, BK, here you go. Final score of Super Bowl 32.
You said I can't lose points, right?
No.
Wow.
And I'm like, I know I have stuff around my office, but I don't want to cheat. I don't want to cheat.
That is what that is right there. That pennant right there.
Can you read the score? Move your head, Zach.
Yeah, no, I'm saying right here.
Okay. Well,
he's trying.
I don't lose. Wait, I don't lose points, right, for a wrong score.
That's correct. You do not.
Zach tries to steal. Okay. 27-17.
No, that is not. Zach, don't try and steal unless you know it, because you're going to lose a point.
I'm going to steal. I need a point right here.
Let's go.
Even though it's gambling. Was this 31-24?
Let's go. 31-24.
Nicely done.
That was a great Super Bowl.
I look at it. I look at it every day.
Well, I've got a Broncos Super Bowl ball, but the score is hidden, like it's not easy to see. So,
well, we don't want any cheating in there. So, yes, it was. And by the way, the Packers were favored by 11 points.
Do you know that? I remember that.
I remember. I believe at the beginning of that game they were running the ball, and I can't remember who called that game, but they kept talking about how it had been 13 years since the AFC had won a Super
I feel like
Bowl.
it was Dick Enberg called that game.
Yeah. It's just like, 13 yards on the carry. And by the way, it's been 13 years. And it was all
and the NFC had a heck of a run. Dick Enberg and NBC had that game.
God, they marched right down the field and scored. And I was like, all right. And then Elway just walked out there and did the same things. We're good. That was a fun day to be alive for me. All right. Let's get out of trivia. And this is zooming in on the longest mic'd up of all time. I do appreciate the banter and the talk.
There we go.
We're getting it. I do want to cover a couple things though, guys. I brought this up last week. So to explain this question, I guess I'm just going to ask it the way it's written. Is the starting defense on our roster right now? Like, where's the hole? Who would we replace? I say maybe a nose tackle gets drafted or something, or a defensive lineman could be rotational. But I mean, you could take the guys that are on the roster right now, day one, and put them out there. What do you say to that, Zach?
Oh, 100%. There's no hole on this defense, and which is incredible to say for any unit. When you're talking about 11 guys on a roster, and you can even go to 12. You can throw nickel in and put Jaquan McMillan in there, and this team is so loaded when it comes to a starting roster right now. I actually put this out right after the Broncos signed Dre Greenlaw, actually works.
Hey, that's
Funga.
actually like kind of works.
That works
We got
right
a nickname
there.
already, Dre Law.
And people were the only two people that it seemed like a lot of people had issues with was Alex Singleton, and we talked about him. I think he is a very good inside linebacker and going to pair very well with Dre Greenlaw. So I think he's a staple. And Riley Moss, people forget Riley Moss before he got injured was playing at a cornerback one level. Now, it wasn't cornerback one level on the Broncos because you have the defensive player of the year on the opposite side of him. But Riley Moss is a heck of a player right now. He got injured, and then he had to go out and play against Joe Burrow in his first game back. And of course, T. Higgins, who's now making $28 million per year, had his way with him. Riley Moss admitted that after the game. So it was a tough game for him. But Riley Moss is a really good cornerback too. This Broncos team has no hole on him. You mentioned it earlier, Mike. They signed DJ Jones, re-signed him. You got John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen. There's no hole on this Broncos defense. It really is incredible. On paper, this defense was the third best in the NFL last year. On paper, they should, without a doubt, be the best defense in the NFL this year.
Yeah. BK, what do you say? Well done, Zach.
I wrote something down here, and I'm going to ask the question of Zach, and almost Kreskin, although without the joke, he's going to know the one spot I could go that probably isn't the change right away, but might surprise people if they were to draft someone high, including in the first round, that would ultimately create a slight domino effect. So what have I written down here as to the one thing that could happen if they drafted a guy that isn't even a position that they've been talking about, since we know they're talking so much about the offense, but on defense, and then the subsequent move that would happen?
What are you talking about?
They would draft a frontline guy and move somebody as a result, move two people, actually, I guess.
You talking about Drew Sanders? You talking about inside linebacker?
He's talking about Drew Sanders, defensive lineman.
No, there's a guy in the starting lineup that would essentially shift roles. You were there for part of this conversation. Well, then it doesn't matter. But I thought you were going to get it, and I was going to be proud of myself for writing it down.
Oh, you're killing it, BK. Let's go.
Yeah, give me another hint here.
No, there's a scenario where
defensive lineman.
No, they draft a cornerback in the first round.
And Riley goes inside.
And Riley goes inside.
Yeah. I thought you said the front. I thought you said the front end. Good thing this is on tape. We're going to go back and show that you had a little misleading hint.
I just
said front line.
Yeah, front line guy, like front.
All right, we get it.
Oh,
I thought you meant defense.
No, I would have
said defensive line.
No, I would have said D-line. But no, I think
how far back should we go?
For as good as
I
don't think I can win at this point. For as good as Riley was before he got hurt, and we know that with that MCL sprain, he clearly wasn't 100%. He wouldn't really admit that, but it was obvious, and not just because T. Higgins was able to have his way with him, like Zach mentioned, but there is a world where he could move inside. If there's a corner, the kid from Michigan, if he somehow is there at 20, or they love him so much that he's in the high teens and they jump up a couple spots, I don't think that kid would become a day one starter, but that doesn't mean that by the end of the year, essentially, he's starting on the outside, a corner, or certainly by the start of next year, and Riley replaces Jaquan McMillan inside. I think that's a scenario that could unfold. And beyond that, down the road, Drew Sanders could end up replacing one of these two inside linebackers. You'd say more likely Alex Singleton, just based on the economics of it all. But if Dre Greenlaw just can't get right, then that makes a lot of sense too. And but I think as it stands today, they feel really good. Now, if they draft a safety too, there's a scenario where the safety ends up knocking, I guess, Brandon Jones out of his starting spot.
That would surprise me.
But that wouldn't be week one. But if you take the Emmanuel kid from South Carolina, or the Malachi Starks, the kid from Georgia at 20, you're not taking them just to run down on kicks. You're going to want to play them.
That pick would surprise me, but you're right. If they do that, they're planning on putting him in there.
Yeah, they'll play him, but that's where you're sticking to your board. And, kind of what we touched on earlier about the idea of taking a wideout. If they take a safety, Brandon Jones is in year 2 of a 3-year, $21 million deal. It's pretty similar to what Alex Singleton is in year 3 of his deal, but you're not going to lose sleep if you draft a guy to eventually take his job, assuming Hufanga's healthy.
Yep. Which is a big assumption, as we know. All right, guys, let's quick hit. I need to know who's wide receiver 2 next year. BK, all the rage is Vele. Is it going to be Mims, Vele, or is it somebody we haven't talked about yet?
That is lined up as the other starter opposite of Cortland. That's what you're asking, because I think Evan Ingram will be the second most productive pass catcher, if not, in some ways, like we touched on, the most productive. But I think on first down, if you're in a base offense, it is going to be, at this point, it's going to be Vele, and Mims would line up, in a 3 wideout set, and Troy Franklin would essentially be 4th. They like what Troy Franklin, I think, can become, but Vele was so much more consistent. And we know Sean likes big wide receivers on the outside. So I think that it's Vele right now. But if a Josh Reynolds type comes along, and or they draft somebody higher than we expect, then that could shuffle those cards a little. Sure. But I think with the roster they have today, it's Vele.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach? I'm going Marvin Mims, and I think, he ran away with this job at the end of last season. Final 7 games of the season, he had almost 500 receiving yards, and which would have been well over 1,000 yards if he maintained that. And when you look at it and you think like, okay, well, why didn't he do that for the first, 18 games of his NFL career, or more than that, I guess? This was one of the guys that Sean Payton pointed the finger at himself with. He constantly did that from year 1 to year 2. He said, man, we need Marvin Mims to get more touches. We need him to be on the field more. And that's my fault. It wasn't anything that Marvin Mims was doing. And then Sean Payton got creative and put him in. Some people say it was the Joker role, but it wasn't really a Joker role. He was just being creative, moving him around the field, getting the ball in his hands in different ways. And once Sean Payton did that, that opened Marvin Mims up. So having Evan Ingram on this team as a traditional Joker is not going to hurt Marvin Mims' role here. And so I think that they're going to get him on the field and truly be that wide receiver 2 in a variety of ways here. And Marvin Mims had 4 touchdowns in the final 2 games of the season. You can't overlook that. He is going to be your wide receiver 2 with the upside of potentially having the stats of your wide receiver 1 this season. I think the Broncos are so incredibly high on Marvin Mims, and he really showed that at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Well, and we saw those ball skills. This is what it feels like. Marvin Mims will be listed as wide receiver 2 and run out with the starters, but then they'll come out on first down, just like we saw little Jordan Humphrey start seemingly every game, even though he wasn't necessarily listed as a starter. Now, he'd get credited after the fact with 7 starts or whatever it was, but that on first down in a base offense, if you will, in was that 12 personnel? It'll be, or what is it? 11, whatever 11 it is. 1 tight end, 10 personnel. Yeah, it'll be Vele before it's Marvin Mims, even though Mims is more dynamic and again showed off those ball skills.
Yeah, love it. Let's finish it out, guys. Big debate. We're gonna rank the AFC. First of all, a lot has changed in the AFC West. Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. Did Geno Smith move the needle for either one of you guys a whole lot on the?
Not me.
Well, Zach.
I would I mean, he's stability for the short term. What really gets me, and what they gave up a 3rd or 4th round pick, I have no issue with that. He's Pete Carroll's guy, no issue from the Raiders standpoint with that. But what gets me is the reports that are saying they want to give him a contract that shows him he's the guy. That is insanity.
Yeah,
that just makes absolute talk about quarterback purgatory. The Seahawks just moved on from that because they realized they couldn't win long term with that. So now the Raiders are saying, "Oh yeah, give us that," even though we know we can't. That just blows my mind. Unfortunately, the Raiders got better when they got Geno Smith, but if they're really going to give him a big deal, oh my goodness, give me a break.
I hope they do. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, there's a reason the Seahawks had no problem trading him and then went and signed Sam Darnold to a much more respectable contract.
That's a huge upgrade.
And if Geno ends up with a similar contract, you'd still say, okay, well, why didn't Seattle want him? We understand why Pete Carroll does want him and why Tom Brady signed off on it. It might be one of those situations too where we know Tom Brady has a better relationship with Shedeur Sanders probably than any kid in the draft, maybe other than some of the Michigan kids that he's crossed paths with, but at least we know publicly. And so if Shedeur were to somehow be there at 6 and Tom Brady and the Raiders were to take him, then it makes even less sense to sign Geno to a longer term deal. So if the deal's not on the table and done, they're clearly waiting until after the draft. But I don't think the Raiders got noticeably better. Geno, like Zach said, stabilizes them, but their roster is still a disaster in so many areas beyond Crosby and Wilkins and obviously Brock Bowers and some of their O-linemen. But I think that the Raiders are still at the bottom, but they might be closer to the Chargers than we thought. And I know the Chargers finished ahead of the Broncos, but still feels like the Chargers and Broncos have switched spots, especially when Evan Ingram chooses the Broncos over the Chargers.
Yeah. Chargers swept us last year, though, so no hiding from that. We're going to have to beat them. All right, guys, let's rank the AFC West QBs then, since we're talking about
I got no
them.
points for that. Neither did you, Zach.
This wasn't part of the game. This was just a you know what, BK? Gosh, dang it. God. You know, the thing is that the only person on the show that cares whether they win or lose is BK, and he just keeps doing it to himself. I don't understand this. Like,
I know.
I'm gonna need to give. I literally don't care who wins.
My victory speech is going to have to go to BK for all the negative points he's caused himself.
I mean, I'm happy to.
It away. It was like Coach Mike Sanford killed somebody and just gave it away with all these negative points. But
if you're gonna keep score, you might as well try to win. That's always my philosophy.
Look at that. Boom. Boom. Comes back. 2 points. Gets 2 points for that. You don't know what points. You don't know what drives me to give points. BK, let's start with you. I'm going to assume that you have Patrick Mahomes first. Does it get dicey at number 2 or does it not? Let's rank the AFC West quarterbacks.
Well, I got Geno 4th. I have Bo Nix ahead of Justin Herbert right now because of the mistakes Justin Herbert makes in critical situations, and he can't escape it. I don't look at him the same way I looked at, Phillip Rivers, I guess, did have that kind of stigma. When you look at Justin Herbert and you see all his tools, you think, why does this happen? But you can go back to that Jaguars playoff game a year ago or in really big spots. Justin Herbert, for as physically talented as he is, and we know he's played through injury and all of that, he just hasn't produced in the biggest spots. I understand Bo is a rookie. Their offense scored 7 points. And after that, finally connecting on a deep pass to Troy Franklin, even though it wasn't down the left sideline, which we know that they still can't hit. It was down the middle of the field, but right in front of Zach and I there in Buffalo. You say, okay, we just know that Bo seems to have an it that I'm not sure Herbert does. So I've certainly got Mahomes 1, but I've got Bo Nix ahead of Justin Herbert right now. And what's interesting would be to poll, next week's NFL owners meetings, to poll GMs and coaches and see if they would agree, or if it's, Bo with Sean is part of that. Because Bo still has to go out and make the plays, even if Sean's a hell of an offensive coordinator and play caller. But I think, especially with the way Bo uses the legs, we know Justin Herbert can run. But I've got Bo ahead of Justin Herbert.
Yeah, yep. That's great. I do have it. How many touchdowns did Bo throw last year? Was it 30?
29?
29,
and then like 32 or 34 with rushing. But
yeah, ran
29. Yep. Like after 8 weeks, I think he only had like 8 touchdowns. Like he just went off on the second half of the year. Like O's going to be better next year. Zach, what do you say? Rank them for us.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I'm going to obviously have to go Mahomes 1, Geno Smith 4, and then the debate is just between those two. And to me, I'm going Bo Nix, because you're asking me who would I rather have like right now moving forward, because one guy's been in the league for 5 years and has been to the playoffs twice with 0 playoff wins, and the other guy's been in the NFL for 1 year on a team that had a record dead cap number, and they had to go to the bargain bin when they went to free agency. George Paton and Sean Payton did a good job with that, but for the most part, the weapons that Bo was surrounded with, below average in terms of the NFL, and he was still able to have a record-setting, historic rookie season. And this is a guy that, it's not like Sean Payton's going anywhere. He's going to have Sean Payton for the next decade. I think Sean Payton's going to be here for a very long time, which means Bo Nix is going to be able to play for him. So it's just like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Yeah, Mahomes has been really lucky to have Andy Reid as his head coach, but you know what? He doesn't have to apologize for that. He gets to build off of that. So give me Bo Nix, because Justin Herbert, like BK said, he has all the physical tools, but he just does not get it done when it matters the most. And if you've done that for 5 straight years, you're telling me who you are right there. Bo Nix has taken this team, was a captain in his first season with the team, and I think he has that it factor that BK mentioned. Justin Herbert doesn't. I think Bo Nix does have that, and that's going to be the difference between these two Oregon quarterbacks.
I'll throw one more thing.
A hot tag. BK's not giving up, though. He's going to try.
Well, no, Justin Herbert's new contract kicks in, so now their cap is going to be directly affected for the next 5 years by him making top dollar. As that new $262 million deal really starts to take effect against the cap this year, which is why you end up cutting Joey Bosa and having to make other moves.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like, what are they going to do? Like, once you lose the cheap quarterback, or what is it Mace always call it, cost controlled quarterback?
Yep.
Things get weird. Things get dicey. What to do with this tie? I don't even know what to do. I think. All right, let's see who's been paying attention. We
can go to the unopened.
Careful.
He's trying to take over, Mike.
I know he wants to get that deduct. What's my favorite band? I wonder what my favorite band is.
Because we're seeing plenty of Star Wars.
Yeah, I need it bigger on the screen right here.
Yeah, do we get a full screenshot of you for a second?
Okay, here we go.
He has no idea.
AC/DC.
Oh, good job. I was like, you can't tell who that is, Zach. And then
I never thought we would decide a game on some BS
done,
like
Zach.
that, but let's go. Zach.
Oh man, BK.
I mean, I didn't know what else to do. It's totally unfair.
Enjoy this one for years.
Is it because they play Thunderstruck when the Broncos run out with the starting lineup and all of that, or just they've been your favorite band for a long time?
Yeah, so that album came out way before anything was ever. I think I'd been to Mile High then. I don't want to date myself any more than I have to. Then I'm going to have to start deducting points again.
I was going to guess Pearl Jam, but
I was a kid in high school when I fell in love with AC/DC. And then, if you guys hadn't got that, I was going to ask you what you thought my favorite movie series might be. And that was going to be pretty easy. That would be like 2 seconds.
Well,
so I figured, hey, we got one AC/DC thing on there.
Yeah, Zach would have said Star Trek.
Guys. I enjoyed the hell out of that. BK, what do you have to say to your friend Zach here? I mean,
Zach, I'm so proud of you as someone that I consider my protege, to see you were able to come in and best me in this octagon, if you will, in this realm, and you flew right past me with all your Twitter followers, and you had Kay Adams.
Oh my God, here we go.
Kay Adams and Pat McAfee tweeting at you and retweeting you. It's been really impressive to see from our days doing daily Broncos podcasts on BSN Denver to where you are now. I could not be prouder of anyone than you, my friend. I'm glad you're able to spend the entire weekend getting ready for this.
That means a lot, BK. Maybe 2 more points for BK. Give this one to him. But you show me the ropes all the time, and can't appreciate you enough. Really cool to be your friend and learn under you for so long. And BK, just remember, you're your own worst enemy. You would have won this if it wasn't for yourself.
I know.
It's a common theme. It's a common theme. People shoot themselves in the foot.
in my entire career. Although I did try to get
deep now.
I did try to get Zach to come out with me when we were at the combine, and he was only there for a short amount of time, and I was there a few more days. I was like, "Hey man, it's your last night. You only got, this is all you got left. Let's hit it." And he had too much fun at that point and had to shut it down to get an early flight.
Was it not like 2:30 a.m. at that point?
No, it was like 12:30.
Were you at Fuddruckers?
We were not.
yeah.
Fuddruckers
We
might as well have been.
See, and that just goes back to BK showing me the ropes. I appreciate it more than he'll never know.
Oh, jeez. Well, you guys are the best. I can't thank you enough for coming on. I mean,
at least I'll have
nobody wins or loses. When we come back on, BK, you'll win. I guarantee you'll win next time.
I'll have the 12 answers correct in Taboo to hang my hat on, at least for a little bit.
That's true. You do hold the course record. Love that, Zach. Congratulations, young man. Well done to both of you.
I'm gonna hold this over BK for a long.
Oh,
long
I know,
time.
I know, and I think it would probably have gone the other way. I actually was gonna. I was kind of hoping for the first tie ever, but you pulled out the ACDC. It was kind of a cool way to win.
You felt obligated to break the tie. We could have probably been all right at 77 all, but it's all good.
I think so too. But
your show, your game.
It's my show, and I don't know what
a
I'm
loser
doing.
would say right there is he should have just taken the tie instead of accepting overtime.
Here we go. Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen. Cam Parker, Jay Weaver will be on, and then after that, looks like Ryan Edwards and Coach Mike Samford. Oh, we got some good shows coming up. Make sure you like and subscribe. I would tell you to like and subscribe to their shows, but of course you already do. But if you haven't, DNVR, they have a new co-host on, some guy named Ryan or something, but he seems all right. And
you guys have been using Benny Fowler a lot too, which is great because Benny has a lot of ties that I don't think people realized. We had him on towards the end of the season on Guerilla Sports, and forgot that he had played with the Saints and played for Sean and played for Pete Carmichael and understands the way that staff thinks and played with guys like Lil Jordan Humphrey. And then his last stop was with the Niners in the offseason. So he was around Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw. So it's been cool seeing Benny do all that stuff with you guys, Zach.
Yeah, and I mean, he's awesome. He is so cool. I mean, talk about an up and coming star. That's what Benny is. And speaking of that, so Benny played with all three free agents that the Broncos signed, the biggest named ones. So Hufanga, Greenlaw, and Evan Ingram. And he played under Vance Joseph with the Broncos and also Sean Payton. There's one other person that has played under those two coaches and played next to those three other guys or been teammates with those three other guys. Do you guys know who it is?
Emmanuel
the trivia on you, Mike.
I don't know.
Sanders?
Emmanuel Sanders. It is not Emmanuel Sanders. I don't think Emmanuel played.
Oh, because he didn't play with Evan Ingram.
Yep.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, I have no idea.
You don't have to get that in the bag for it.
I don't know. BK, I'm surprised.
BK? Maybe this is
who's the punter that just left? Riley Dixon.
No. Well, maybe. I don't know. I didn't get that deep, but it DJ Jones.
Oh, DJ Jones.
DJ Jones.
Because he played with Evan Ingram back at Ole Miss.
Oh
wow, that's a good pull.
Yeah.
Good pull.
That is a good pull. You know what I say to that? I'm taking over my show. That's it. It's time to go, boys. I will never
Here's a fun
stop
fact, Zach,
that nope nonsense
Mike, real
thing
quick.
I'm going to do. Yeah, go ahead. Your show.
Benny Fowler caught the last pass Peyton Manning ever threw in his career. Technically not a pass because it was a 2-point conversion. But the last football that Peyton Manning threw in a game was a 2-point conversion that Benny Fowler thought he'd get to keep, and then Peyton was appreciative that he gave it back to him.
Yep.
Yeah,
very cool.
That is very cool, and I have enjoyed watching Benny kind of making some rounds lately. I wondered.
Well, Zach drove Todd Davis away.
He did.
I was like, I cannot handle working with this guy, so let's do something else.
Word on the
Let me go
street
work
was
that.
he started. Word on the street
Way
was Zach
more.
was getting a little jealous of all the attention that Todd was getting, so they shipped him off to be a coach with the Broncos.
Exactly.
I don't believe that for a minute, guys.
I said you have too much of a life right now. Go be a coach in the NFL.
Go work.
You know,
for a
it's like
living.
your kid's name. That's fine. You're covered.
Right. You're good.
All right, great job, fellas. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you on here again, hopefully. And next time, BK, like I said, I feel bad.
Don't. Hey,
I mean,
you gotta have a winner. You gotta have a loser. Zach won today.
I don't. Do I have to though? God,
Zach, am I going to see you in Palm Beach?
Well, yes, sir.
Well, then I'll. It's my birthday Monday, but I'll buy you drinks Monday night.
Ooh, oh no! I got drinks Monday night. So we're going to a free drinking event that night.
Okay, well that's nice of you.
All right, I expect a full report when you guys get back.
Yeah.
And,
The one thing you won't get is a full report from that night.
on that, not from Fuddruckers for sure.
No, it's a little more highbrow than that, but yeah, it's got a Fight Club element to it. So the
Let's
fact that
go,
you get
just
to
like
go,
this show.
Yeah,
it's
right,
pretty
guys.
wild.
All right, guys, have a great night. Broncos Country, thanks for tuning in. We will see all of you on Thursday night. And until then, go Broncos. Thanks, Zach and BK. Take care, everybody.